Hello, my name is Tamara Furth, and I work at the Grand as the marketing and programming manager. And today we're happy to have Karin Patzke. She's a new member she's, I guess, new at the Grand. Started, I think, was it in February? No, last fall.
Yes.
Yes, last fall, in the fall of 2023, working down in our Cellar Press. And Karin is going to share with us today all things about printmaking and bookbinding. So welcome, Karin. And if you want to go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what it is you're doing in Cellar Press.
Yeah. Tamara, thanks so much for having me here. I'm really excited to share my love of bookmaking and printmaking. I have a background in the arts. I went to art school. I have a master's in art history. And for a long time, I scrambled together many different jobs in the arts, both working for nonprofits and museums and galleries. And then I eventually ended up teaching at a university. And now that I've moved to southern Minnesota, I'm really excited to just work in a studio environment. That is always something that I've really enjoyed, and I'm excited to do it at the Grand. I have a background in bookmaking. I learned at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, both printmaking and bookmaking. And then I worked in the museum there, in the conservation lab, repairing artworks, and also in the library. They have a rare books library, and I repaired books in the library there. And that was so much fun. I got to see beautiful artworks and was able to hold them in a way that other people were not. And from that experience, I really learned an appreciation for taking the time that's necessary to complete these really beautifully crafted artworks that maybe don't get the attention they deserve. They're not museum paintings or drawings, but they're on shelves. So this summer I moved here from Central New York, and one of the first things that happened was my partner took me to meet his high school English teacher, Tom Hagen, who gave one of the first presses to the Grand. He had just donated a bindery, so all of the materials necessary for making books to the Grand. And they were looking for a bookmaker to put it all together and get it running. So it was very fortuitous that I met Tom and then eventually met Anne, the founder of the Grand, and began working with y'all in the fall.
Yes, well, and the Cellar Press has been around for a few years at the Grand, and I know has really focused a lot on the linoleum block carving or wood block carving and then typesetting. And so this is really a neat feature to complement, as far as with even setting type, if you want to make a poetry book or a pamphlet or, or just even to have those, like you say, the books and journals, it kind of all ties together. So I know you've brought some just beautiful examples of things that either you've created or found. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what you have here, kind of showcasing some of the different things we can do in Cellar Press.
Yeah, so Cellar Press, as you said, has traditionally just been a printmaking studio. So linoleum blocks like this from Caitlin Lang, who was our artist in residence earlier this year. This is the more traditional kind of printmaking that we do. And also at Cellar Press, we do letter set printing as well, so putting type like this. And now with the bookbinding, we can combine these two. We're not just printing on single sheets of paper, but now we can put together books. So I did bring some books. We have 3 classes right now that we're offering. One is a pamphlet style class. So pamphlets are, you might have seen them around as small recipe books. This is a recipe book that I brought. Or maybe a song book are often done like this. And so in that class, we learned some basic techniques for how you might put together pages in a book, how you might bind them. And this is called non-adhesive binding. It's kind of the way that bookmakers talk. There's either books that require glue or books that do not require glue. So the first class is just a real introduction to the structure. The second class that we offer, which is pretty exciting, is a blank journal book. So we make a hardback book, and in that book, you learn how to make the case and how to bind the inside pages.
Wow.
And so this is a fun class. It filled up really quickly. We'll offer it again in the fall. But I was really excited by people's enthusiasm for the class.
Well, yeah, so for people who love to journal, how special to be able to create your own journal in which to write in. And now, and like with these, obviously, like you say, kind of different styles and different time involved. How much time, like for your classes with the pamphlets versus to create something like this?
Yes,
You know,
that's
as
a
far as-
great question. So one of the reasons why bookmakers distinguish between adhesive binding and non-adhesive binding is the time it takes for the glue to dry.
Sure.
It's a really obvious kind of thing when you start to think about it. So in the pamphlet classes, when we're not using glues, these classes are about 3 hours, and we
Sure.
make 3 different structures, 3 different kinds of books. We make a simple pamphlet book like this, and then we make something called a puzzle book, which is made from 1 sheet of paper, so it gets folded, and there's no string or staples. Instead, it's just 1 sheet of paper that gets folded in a particular kind of way. And there's hundreds of ways to make these kind of puzzle books, or
Sure.
maze books, sometimes they're called. But once you know one format, you can figure out 100 other ways.
Almost like origami with bookmaking.
Exactly, yeah. It can
Paper
be
folding.
fun. And a lot of times, I know young artists like this format because they can tell a story really easily.
Sure.
And that's always fun to see. And then the final one that we do in that class is this has 2 signatures, they're called, so there's 2 parts of it. And this is a more complex, so we build up our skill level in each class to try and do that.
Sure.
So the first pamphlet class, we go over 3 different structures. But to get to your question of time, the hardback journal class is a 2-day class because between the first and second days, we allow the glue to dry in the case. And we spend most of our time on the first day putting together each of these signatures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some beautiful examples, I was going to say, of work that you've got.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and one of the unique things about bookmaking is there are some standardized forms. You know, we're used to seeing books in a particular kind of way, but when we think of books as artistic avenues for creativity, we can really change the way that we think about a book and come up with different structures. So, for example, I love this book here. It's from an artist in Texas, and it looks like a hardback book, but it's not. There's no glue involved.
Oh, wow.
And so it's just paper folded in a really unique way.
Yeah.
And so we'll do this class in the fall as well. It's called the Buttonhole Stitch book.
Okay.
And it's really fun. This piece here comes out, so you get multiple ways of viewing the book.
Sure.
And I like that a book is not one thing in book arts. It's many different kinds of things, and it's all a focus of a person's creativity and expression and experiences in the world.
Well, right, like you say, because even that, and then this one too, like just the different work on the binding, you know, how it allows for creative expression. And, you know, that's the thing too, like I think a lot of people will think of art and maybe think of just a few different mediums. And when you look at it, really, I mean, anything can be turned into art if you're creative and you know, kind of that unique, like you say, and once you have the skills to be able to do it, you know.
So I think that's one of the great things about Cellar Press is that there's the printmaking facilities and then there's the bookmaking facilities. And so you can use both of those techniques and materials together to come up with a unique expression. And I love your idea of community and developing the expertise. One of the things that we really want to work towards is having an open studio model. Yeah. So once students take a series of classes, they can then come in and use the facilities with just a little bit of supervision.
Right.
And that will be really exciting. That helps to create community and the kinds of expressions that come out of that situation. I was involved in a press in Chicago called Sputnik Press, and it just really fabulous groups of people and different ways of making art.
Well, right. I think it's like anything, whether you're a musician or an athlete or, you know, an artist, it's like finding those people who have that shared passion, and you can really learn and grow from each other too. So, you know, having that, like you say, open studio space where artists that are talented and skilled in the same field can really help each other learn and grow and try new things. And so, it's a great a great way to help move the Cellar Press in that direction, to have those opportunities for artists. So you have a lot of different things going on, and you said a lot of these things you can create in Cellar Press in different classes. I don't know if there are any other classes or things that you wanted to highlight, or if you covered those, or...
Yeah. So right now we have about 2 classes a month, and so if viewers are interested in registering for classes, you can go online to the Grand New Ulm and register for classes there. We usually have a printmaking class and a bookmaking class every month. So people can combine skills pretty quickly with that model of classes.
And I would say, Karin, I know you are teaching some of the classes, but we also have some other teaching artists that have, different skill sets and knowledge base. So really, lot of talented teaching artists down in Cellar Press.
We do. So the class that's coming up this weekend, I'm glad that you mentioned other teachers, is taught by Dennis from Mankato. And he's going to teach a class on printing coasters, which I know is really popular for New Ulm, both with Shells and other facilities in the area. And so classes like this help us connect with the community and also kind of teach people more about what we're doing down there.
Well, and just to, like you say, see it in a different way. It isn't just printing in books or printing poetry. I mean, you can
print
all
on
kinds
anything.
of things. Yes,
for sure.
And so I know you're working down there with classes, but you also have other, and like teaching artists, but then you also have other visiting artists that are going to be spending time in the Cellar Press.
Yeah, so we have an artist in residence program, and this is the third year. So it started in 2022, and there were 4 artists, and then in 2023 there were 5 artists, and now this year we have 6 artists. It's really exciting. Artists spend about 2 weeks in the press, and they have open access to all the facilities. So previously they'd only had access to printmaking, but now they have print and books, so we're seeing some combination of things coming out of that. And at the end of this year, maybe you can speak a little bit more about this, is we're going to have a show of all the artists in residence, and that will be every year. We'll kind of sum up the year in the residency programs. I really love the Artist in Residence program because it's not just about artists making art here in the Grand, it's also about artists working with the community. So each proposal has a community program or a community project built into it, where the artist perhaps teaches a class or works with a business or a nonprofit in the community to create some artwork. And I think that's really fabulous and unique to our Artist in Residence program.
Well, and what's so interesting too, and I think this is true with any art or any art form, but it's always interesting for me to see too all the different techniques that the different artists use, because with each artist they're all using the same set of tools, but their artwork is completely different, whether it's working with typography and different fonts and things, or if it's the carving, or some of them do reduction blocks, so it's multiple layers. So at any rate, it's always so fun to see what they create. So that's kind of the idea too with that combined show at the end of the year, just to highlight all the different things you can create in that Cellar Press. Yeah.
I love that aspect of it because it just really brings home that you can have one idea of printmaking that's maybe a block, but when you get 6 different artists in the studio, they're each doing something different, and that's just fabulous. That's just very inspiring and just feeds that creative urge that we all have.
Yes. Well, and as you mentioned, the artist residency program has been around for a few years. However, the Cellar Press has been around for a few more years than that, because just in the initial years getting things up and running, and then we started the program. But I know there's kind of a big event coming up in May, dealing with recognizing, or an anniversary, I guess, for the Cellar Press.
Yeah. So Cellar Press has been around for 5 years. And in May 4th, we're going to have a 5-year celebration. So from 11 to 4 on a Saturday, we're going to have many of the presses going. We're going to have lots of visiting artists in the space, and we're inviting the public in to enjoy our printmaking processes. We have almost 17 presses, less than 20. I did a count this morning, and I came up with 19. And I was like, that can't be right. So
it's a busy place.
It's a very busy place. We have a lot of facilities for people to see and participate in. So we'll have presses on the street to invite people, and then have presses inside, both upstairs and downstairs. And that's going to be really exciting and fun because it's rare that even someone like me gets to see that many presses going at the same time. I think it can be pretty exciting. We'll have souvenirs for people to take, and they can speak to the artists and ask questions about the facilities. It will be fun.
And a lot of the presses too. I mean, there are some definitely where you need a little training or experience, but there are a lot of things that just by demonstration, people can get a taste of printmaking. So yes, there'll be, like you say, some hands-on opportunities for people to come and see how these things work and maybe run a card or a print or something through. So yeah,
we definitely want people to be able to take a little bit of it with them,
Yeah.
Because it's always fun to have that memory, and hopefully get people to come back for classes
Yeah,
in the
to sign
studio
up.
program.
Because a lot of different classes to appeal to a lot of different interests. So yeah, there's a lot, like you say, a lot going on. Well, I'm wondering too if there's, I know we've talked about a lot of different things, but I don't know if we missed anything, if there's anything else that you wanted to share regarding, the Cellar Press and.
Yeah, so I would say we're developing more program as I gain experience with the materials. So it's been a while since I've been focused on studio art. So I've had a great opportunity to talk with old mentors and old friends who helped me at the beginning of my career to learn some of these new bookmaking techniques, or new to me bookmaking techniques. And one of the things that I'm really excited about, but it probably won't happen until next year, is having a repair workshop for books in family mementos. So we can provide a service and a kind of expertise to the community to bring in historic family objects and see how we might repair them or make a case for them that protects them in a better way. So that's in the works. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
I do have to do a little bit of work about leather binding and repairing leather binding, because I know there's a lot of old Bibles in the communities or old photo albums that have these historic components, leather and vellum. So I'm still working on mastering the techniques of repairing these objects, but I'm excited to bring that to the community.
So a lot of different possibilities,
Sure.
like you say. And so exciting to have those new things to be able to learn and then share and connect with people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, wonderful.
And I would just say, you and John have been so welcoming at the Grand. Like, it's just
well,
such
you're
a-
easy to welcome.
It's
We
just
love
such a
having you
fabulous place to
as part
work.
of the team.
Yeah, I love bringing
So-
people in. And if any viewer wants to stop by, we're usually open, the gift shop's open on Saturday, and I'm usually downstairs in the basement, and I'm happy to give tours. So if you're curious about what these presses are, or what this book stuff is, usually on Saturdays you can come visit the gift shop, and someone will bring you down to the basement.
Well, and that's a good point too, because I know that your hours will fluctuate, but right now you're kind of in that Cellar Press space. Is it on Fridays?
Fridays and Saturdays.
And Saturdays. So yeah, if you happen to be downtown and you're interested, Karin is very knowledgeable and very willing to share, like she said. So stop in and say hi. So. All right, well, thank you so much. I hope that this, again, has given you the opportunity to learn a little bit more about what's going on down in our Cellar Press. And if you have any questions, be sure to contact the Grand. You can call us 359-9222 or check out our website for upcoming classes. And there's also a place to email and contact us if you have any other questions. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tamara.
Yeah.